What might work for you might not work for the other person, right? So
Yeah.
essentially, it is first knowing that people are different first, and then coming together to reach a compromise. So when I mean reaching a compromise, for some people they don't want to be on calls for 7 hours or 4 hours or five
Mhm.
hours or so, right? I work with some engineers that will tell you that, see, if you have something to say, please just leave a message, right? That's how they work. That's how they understand. They want it documented. It helps them understand better. And for some people, right, the clarity they need is via a one-on-one conversation, right? So it's the onus is on us as product managers to understand that the people we work with are different in their own way. They are unique in their own
Yeah.
style of working, and finding a balance and trying to adjust to suit whoever we are working with at the time.
Thank you so much, Peter. So thank you so much, Taiwo, for that response. So I think you mentioned how people are different and how we have to find a balance and get a compromise. I think that I agree with you on that front. So my question now is to Deborah. Peter already mentioned something about forgive me, but yeah, that is also his name. So forgive me if, if I'm calling him that. So yes. So back to Deborah, right? So how do you decide when to compromise versus when to stand on your team's priorities? Based on what is said, right? That okay, people are different. You need to learn how to make compromise. You need to know when to understand people, right? But I believe in the process of trying to compromise, it can affect, achieving the team's goal. So how do you decide when to compromise versus when to stand firm on the team's priorities?
Okay, so as a product manager, it's very important for us to understand that the end goal is fulfilling the desire of the stakeholders. You can't compromise on situations or features that is contrary to the desire or the demand of the stakeholders. Okay, so I'm going to use a realistic scenario, like a real life scenario that I've experienced before. Um, it's on a product we were working on in my company presently. So we were supposed to work on an MVP for this product, and the time frame that was allocated for this product was really, really, really short. So we were working on product prioritization, feature prioritizations, excuse me, that we can achieve within this time frame, and we had to the product team and the engineering team will had to look for at the most relevant features that need to be in the MVP. In fact, we had 1 month. We had 1 month. We've used 1 week for documentation, and we're looking at the features that need to be present in this product to be presented to the stakeholders. So the development team were looking at how easily they could achieve it, skipping some major important features. But the product team we were looking at how these important features that are relevant to this product need to be present and to be involved. So what we had to do was compromise at the end of the day, in the sense that we had to look at it was just product prioritization. We had to look at those features that need to be present in this product at the end of the day. So the place of compromising, but still looking at the interests and the goal of the stakeholders is a very important thing at the end of the day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deborah. I think I agree with you on that end because at the end of the day, the stakeholders really matter. They are one of the major, important parts of the business. So even if we're trying to compromise, we still have to ensure that we are meeting the goals of the business. So I agree with you on that end. So coming back to Chisom, I'd like to ask you. So there are times when it seems as if the team they're aligned on what they're meant to achieve, but at the end of the day, you really find out that the output is not proving that, it's not showing that okay, the teams are as aligned as they should be. So how do you handle a situation where teams appear collaborative on the surface, but they're not sharing critical information or you're not able to achieve the desired output?
Okay, so for that, I think carrying everybody along is very important. Like at no matter the stage of the project you're in, like making sure that everyone is carried along is very, very important, right? And sometimes when people are not aligned, like when the team is not aligned, that's when information starts getting hoarded, like, because everybody's not carried along. So having frequent check-ins, right, with the team, yeah, it will really help that. Yeah, that's what I think.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, I think it still boils down to the whole thing of, having ensuring that you prioritize, right? Having the right priorities for the team to ensure that everybody's aligned. So I think we're learning one or two things. So I think my question is back to Taiwo. Mentioned something about how people don't like having several meetings. People don't like talk on meetings. I think I can relate with that, right? So what strategies do you use to ensure that everyone is aligned on priorities without having so many meetings, having too many frequent meetings that everyone is complaining? What other strategies do you employ?
Okay. You can still hear me, right?
Yeah, we can. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, there are different communication tools today, right?
Yeah.
There are different ways we work. So, aside having Teams meetings, sometimes it could be, we have a Slack channels, we have our Jira boards, for communications to go in. It's also a very good place because sometimes traction is lost when you join. Sometimes we say some things in meetings, right? And it is very hard for you to keep track of those things. So sometimes when we, document them maybe on our Jira ticket or our Jira board or Notion board, or we talk about it on our Slack channels, right? It is very easier for someone to, go back to that conversation and pick that up. And sometimes it saves time, right? Some conversations that we should be having via maybe or documenting via our Slack channel, putting that down. We sometimes, will jump on a call and find out that, this call should have probably happened. This should have probably been a chat or a documented,
Text.
item, right? So essentially, just let tools handle alignment, and reserve human time for strategy.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. The importance of tools cannot be overemphasized. Using the Jira board, like you said, using Google Documents to ensure that there's accurate documentation, because information can be lost through while speaking. So I think you just hit the nail on the head, right, on the importance of documentation. So my question is to Deborah. Are you still with us? So Deborah, I want to ask
Yes.
that how do you prevent over communication, right? In the process of having all these documentations, there can be information overload, right? So while trying to maintain transparency, how do you prevent that level of over communication where people are not missing the important points and focusing on the wrong things? How do you keep that balance?
Before the development of a product starts,
Yeah.
I ensure that there's a flow. So there are stages to every phases of the product. So at
Okay.
every phase, we know what we're meant to be doing. And like Taiwo mentioned, the use of all these tools, the use of Jira or any of the communication tools. I work physically, so I work on site. So we don't lean totally on some of these tools, although we use Jira and Asana to ensure that to follow up on our roadmap. Okay, roadmap, yes, too is very important. At each phases in the roadmap, we know where we are. So we all have access to in the team, we all have access to seeing what we are doing at each phase. So it's very easy to track our progress, it's very easy to track everything we're doing technically. Yeah, so that's very important.
Mm, thank you for that. I think you just emphasized Taiwo's point. So Yeah, great answer. But I think my question is back to Taiwo actually, because seeing your experience and the type of products you worked on, I want to ask you this question about stakeholders management, right? So how do you handle situations where stakeholders have conflicting goals? I think I want you to answer that question. You know, while we're trying to manage stakeholders, they can also be, issues or concerns among stakeholders. So I want to ask you that how do you handle situations where stakeholders themselves have conflicting goals? How do you balance and handle such a situation?
Okay, I mean, as product managers, this is inevitable. It happens a lot of times. Like it's like something we go through every single day. Um, a way to look at it is everyone has their own input or what they want to achieve. Be it your compliance team, be it like legal team, be the engineering, design, everybody. Essentially, we are all working together for just one person. And that
Mhm.
person is who? The customer, right?
Yeah.
A way to ensure that everyone is aligned, right, or bringing all stakeholders together is to, ask the question, right? What does the customer want? That is really what is keeping us together, or what has brought us all together, right? Um, as a compliance person, you are working for the customer because you want the customer's funds to be, to be guarded, right? As an engineer, you want technical debt to be resolved, right? So people don't say, "Oh, your product is buggy. Who is the engineer working on this?" As a design person, you want the product to be, or to showcase your design prowess, your creativity, right? As a product manager, you want to be able to say, "Oh yes, that is my product. I did that.
Mhm.
I come up with that." But essentially, all of this is good, right? But the question is, what does the customer want? And sometimes we would argue that sometimes customer do not know what they want, yeah. But we are all
Gee.
looking forward to giving something to the customer,
Yeah.
right? And it's in getting that alignment is ensuring that we are all coming on board. We are looking at what maybe we have the data. What is the data saying? What is the data pointing at, right? Um,
Mm.
from the trend in the industry or what we are seeing, is it security over design and new updates, or is it flashy new things that the customers or the market is looking for, or is it time to introduce something entirely different that will be a game changer, right? All
Yeah.
of this comes from the fact that everybody is looking at it from that angle to say, we're all looking at the customer, right? But what does the customer really want at this time, or what do we give to the customer at this time? It is when we all come together and we have that mindset, right? We're not all working as individuals. As a compliance person, you're not just running with, oh, we want to ensure that there is zero loss on the product, right? We understand we want zero loss, right? But we also need to consider other aspects of what we are shipping out to the customer. So that is essentially how you know I generally ensure that our stakeholders are aligned when working on our product. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Taiwo. I really agree with you because the use of data cannot be overemphasized. The data really speaks more volume than you trying to convince someone that, oh, this is where I think we should go. So data is the new oil, like they say, right? So I think using data and also trying to focus on what the customer wants, because at the end of the day, the customer is who we are working for. So thank you so much, Taiwo, for your response. So my question is now back to Chisom. So Chisom, I would like to ask you. So I mean, in teams, right? So when you're working with different people, there are times when people have concerns, but they're not able to voice it out. They're not able, amongst team members, right? There's always grumbling. There's always internal meetings, and one of these personal meetings, but they're not able to voice out their concerns to the manager or to the team lead. So how do you ensure that within the team, right, people feel comfortable enough to voice out their concerns, which would enable the team grow and work towards the common objective?
Okay, so I think group chats are very important.
Okay.
Like having group chats as a team, having a group chat with your team members that the manager is not in. It is very important. I mean, people look at it like, oh, maybe it's not it's not ideal, and like maybe they are talking behind manager's back or whatever. I've come to find out that team members are actually really free when they're together and alone without the people that hire them. So having a group chat where you can voice out whatever you want to say, right? And then there's always somebody in the team who is close to the manager. If you think about it, wherever you've worked in the past or right now, there's always somebody in your team that has a good rapport with the manager or your CEO or whatever. So doing that, voicing out your opinions on that group chat, that person can help you take it to your manager, or present it in a way that is better, and the manager will actually listen to them. So yeah, that's what I think. I mean, it has happened a lot of times, where I work or my previous places, and this always works. So yeah.
Thank you for that. But for some of us that we know that on our teams, we have people that go and tell the manager something else on your work group chat. Ensure that everything you discuss is for work, okay?
Yeah, but like you can obviously you won't say everything that is on your mind, right?
Yeah.
You can't talk to, even if you and your teammates are so close, right? You can't really talk to them like you're talking to your siblings. Let me just put it like that. So you just say the points, like what you want to, or what you're scared to say to your manager or whatever, and you just say it there, and then that person can, or you go to the person directly, right?
I agree.
Is having like that middleman,
Discussion,
that middleman that can help you, relate to your manager. Yes.
Like you said, even meet the person directly and just trash or whatever it is. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Shiso. So Deborah, I'd like to ask you this question. So as a product manager, I see you're also a product specialist and brand specialist. So how do you influence without authority across different teams?
Oh, okay. That's an interesting question, actually, because there's a very thin line between being firm and being authoritative.
Yeah.
So as a product manager, you don't want to be too friendly. Okay, so I have an interesting story. In my earlier days as a PM, I was really trying to be liked by everyone. I wanted to please the shareholders, the stakeholders. I wanted to please the team members, the engineers. I just wanted everybody to be happy. And guess who was suffering? Me. So I crashed out badly because it was just an impossible task. So I had to learn the hard way to be firm, in the sense that the need of the customers, the need of the stakeholders and the shareholders are communicated to the team members without the room for addition. Okay, what do I mean by that? Um, I'm bringing the needs to the team members. Okay, hi guys, we have a request from this person and they want this, that. I'm not presenting it as, oh, we need to start subtracting and adding to it. I have to be firm that this is the need and we need to achieve this. Even putting into consideration that some of these needs might be what's the term for it, might not be necessary. As a product manager, we understand some needs might be we use paracetamol and then what's it called, and malaria need. For example, paracetamol is like the demand for it is very, very high. It's a consistent thing. You go out, you're tired, you're fatigued, you're taking paracetamol. Malaria happens like maybe once every 3 months. So the need for it is not high. So when a customer is bringing a need to the PM that, oh, we need to have this product developed, and you guys are realizing that this is a malaria or typhoid need, okay, might not really, because the end goal is to make money, right? You might not really, it might not be a profitable product in the market. It might not be a lucrative product in the market. So you're bringing this need to your team members without giving it room for additions and subtractions. I'm saying this based on experience. Actually, we've had to work on a product that does not or might not have a very good what's it called, traction in the market, but this is, it's like a request, so we have to do it. The energy or the vibe I communicate to the team members matters a lot, because it's how they receive it, the reception toward it, the energy towards developing this product also toward it. So we professionalism is very, very important, in communicating the needs of the stakeholders to the team members. So that's my answer.
Thank you so much. So it's just about balancing being firm and being able to communicate effectively to your team members, if I'm correct.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes,
thank
you're
you
right.
so much. So my next question is to
Yeah,
Taiwo.
Hi, Wura. Can I add to what
Oh, there, sure,
Deborah said?
definitely.
Yeah, so I mean, if influencing without authority for we as product managers comes from our relationship with our stakeholders, right? Something someone shared recently, right, about it is very essential that don't ship features alone, but you're also shipping relationships with people, right? And Shirai Doshi, one of products minds out there, also says, when you are influencing, influencing does not come from a position of authority, but from the position of clarity of thought and alignment on what exactly you're trying to achieve, right? So I feel like when as product managers, one of the ways to influence, right, without necessarily coming out to say, oh yeah, I am the CEO, or I role here, is also through our influence, right? And one of the ways to achieve that is through our relationships, how we work with people or our stakeholders, right? And honestly, if you want to get the best out of people, you need to build that relationship. You have to be intentional about it. And in building relationship, just like Deborah said, doesn't mean you have to be very, very close to that person, right? But it's just forming some sort of alignment. We're on the same page. You can always reach out. I am here. Let's discuss. All the likes. So that's just one of the ways to also help with this. I just wanted to add that.
Thank you so much, Taiwo. I hope I jotting one or two things down, because that was really good. You said you shouldn't just learn to ship features, but we should also ship relationships, which I think is very important, because having a great relationship or a good relationship with your colleagues also really helps to make the work very seamless. So I think that's one takeaway everybody should leave this meeting with. So the question I have for is actually like a two-in-one. One is a follow-up to the stakeholders question, and the other one is also a sub-question. But let me just ask, okay? So what method do you use for ensuring that non-technical stakeholders understand technical trade-offs?
Very, very important. I think I was having a call yesterday, and something similar to this came on, or we had something. So I was talking to someone who was a business person, right? And she was making a request, and the request that was being made was something that technically we might not be able to get within the time frame of that project, right? So at first I said no, this won't be possible, and so why she was confused. She was like,
Why not?
why are you saying this won't be possible within this time? I mean, it's just this small thing that needs to be done, right? So I had to now break it down to her to say, if you're handling a mobile app, there's what you see, and there's something that is powering what you see. So if you're saying I should do this thing, it's just one screen. You assume it's just one screen. However, there's a lot of things that is going into some of the things you are seeing on this screen, right? And that is powered by an API. And she was like, oh, an API, what does this mean? Right. So I had to, then explain further to say, oh, the reason why it is this is because we expect certain responses from a certain, endpoint that would then, feed into what you see on the front end.
Yeah.
So like, oh, is that what you? So that is why you say, and I'm like, oh yes, because without that endpoint or that API being available, right, you might see it as just one screen that needs to be done. But if I don't have that done or developed, right, there is no way you would be able to interact with that screen because it depends on that. Another scenario was my business team, and some people were having conversations around designs, right? And the business person was like, oh, how long is it going to take for you to come up with screens or do this design? And the designer was like, oh, it's going to take me about 2 weeks. And the business person was like, oh, why is it taking 2 weeks? Is it not just to, do this, and this, right? And then the product manager on my team had to explain what goes into this to say, oh, the reason why it's taking 2 weeks is because, so from the business person's perspective, we're just changing colors, right? That is it to them. But as a designer, you know that it is not just changing colors. You have to find a way to blend the colors. That might affect some of the things that are on the current screen, right? Meaning that you might need to make some adjustments as well. So it is very essential that, as product people, when we're talking to people that are not so technical, like us, we break it down to the barest minimum such that they understand, right? And there's no ambiguity at all, right? So they understand what exactly goes into the process, because for most of them, they might not have an idea of, they're not technical people like us. So if we are conversing, if I'm probably conversing with Chisom, I'll use technical terms like, oh, the hamburger menu, can you do this? Can we move this screen about and all the likes, right? She understands what I'm saying. But for a business person that is probably just looking for how to onboard the next customer and end the quick moolah, their bit is how quickly can you get a result? But you need to also explain to them, this is the process it entails. And in explaining, you're not just using technical terms, so you're using terms and words that they can relate with or they can understand. So yeah.
Thank you so much. I think it just emphasizes communication, all right. So just being able to communicate things clearly in such a way that you're able to understand. So the question I also have, I told you that 2-in-1, right? So the question I want to ask is that it still comes down to this this struggle between different teams. Sometimes the technical members of the team, so to speak, those are the back-end engineers, the front-end engineers. Sometimes they believe that the product managers are not as technical, right? So they always want to use the opportunity to, oh, how long will this product take? This feature take? They give a very long time and all of that. So what's your approach for resolving this power struggle or this lack of technicality between these departments and ensuring that, you're able to get the best out of the team?
Again, for me, I think relationship helps in this angle, right?
Okay.
And when I say relationship, right, myself and my engineers were pretty close, right? So when there is work to be done, because of kind of relationship we have, it is very hard for an engineer to tell me, even though they can sometimes, because I might not be that technical to know. But if it's going to take a week to do that task, my engineer will tell me it's going to take a week, and I would take their word at it. I'll take their word for it, right? And the reason being that we've had a relationship, right? Such that, this person understands where I'm coming from. We have that understanding between myself and the engineer or, the resource, right? There's also the part where, I see a lot of product managers trying as much as possible to be technical and then coming to tell, an engineer, if an engineer is saying 7 days, oh, it should take 5 days. I would say, that approach might work, right? But I believe that if you have an effective relationship, you communicate effectively with your engineers, your QA, and your designers, and you have that relationship with them, you can achieve, or you can manage that time frame, or that estimate, right? And in terms of technicality, I don't necessarily have to be technical, right? Because of the relationship we have, right? When I come with a new task and I say, well, this is what we want to do, right? One of the first things I do is I have a conversation, or we have like a sit down. This is what we want to do. How do we go about it? What is required, right? I'm not coming from the position of I know it, right? Because we also need to understand that these people are experts in their own way. We're also experts in our own field as well, right? So I try as much as possible not to make it look as if I am, diving into what they're
Awesome.
doing, right? But then having an idea is great. It helps, right?
Yeah.
There are times when my engineer is on a call, and when I'm having a call with a stakeholder, I can say, I can pinpoint some of the technical dependencies that are required. And the reason why I'm able to do this is because I have been in rooms with my engineer, and we've had conversations, and I've picked up from that conversation, and I'm able to say that, we've done this work before, and based on the conversation I had when this came in, we reviewed this were the dependencies that were required, and that's because the engineer was transparent with me. The reason why it looks as if there might be friction sometimes when we are reviewing tasks to be done, and who is more technical, an engineer is estimating, is just a lot of the time the product person sits as, oh, I am a product manager, right? You are an engineer, and we're not looking at it as we're a team working together.
Yeah.
Marty Kagan, in one of his mentions, in product has had some a conference last year, made mention of the fact that product delivery teams, you have to come together, to achieve this. As a product manager, you don't have to be technical for you to understand some things, right? When you're rubbing off each other between yourself and your engineer, you're able to pick up some things. Trust is built, right? So if an engineer is giving you an estimate of a week, definitely it is a week, right? Although sometimes, engineers can be engineers, they add 2 extra days and all the likes, but that's fine, right? But the fact that they understand where you're coming from, the fact that you are on the same page with them, the fact that you have a good relationship with them is very key. And that's why I said, see, if you want to ship product and you want to ship products well, it is essential that you have a working relationship with your stakeholders. It goes a long way. It helps a lot, right? So that is one way I see it, or how I approach it. And there are times when I might not even be around, and you hear my engineer speaking or acting in my place as a product manager. The reason why they're able to do that as well is because we've had that relationship. We understand each other. They're able to step in sometimes to handle this. So that's where I see it.
Thank you so much. So I think you just emphasized the importance of relationships, and I agree with you. I cannot agree more, because having a healthy relationship fosters a very great work environment. So I think, like I said before, this is one takeaway everyone should have from this meeting. So my question is to Deborah next. And Deborah, I'd like to ask you, so in teams we always have people that don't like to speak, or maybe they are quiet and they are doing their work, but they don't want to, they are not the loud ones, right? So how do you encourage these people to speak up in rooms? Because I know we have these people in our teams. How can you encourage them, to be at their best and to contribute meaningfully in meetings and across other activities in the team, on the team?
Okay. Firstly, I think there are people that would not speak until you actually call them to talk. So
Yeah.
identifying these people and involving them in I used to not talk except I'm called. So it took a while to, get used to wanting to voice my opinion without thinking it might not be relevant. So I have a couple of team members I work with like that are not so eager to share their opinion. That some of these opinions are very, very valuable. So I always ensure that even though I might have other people with audible voices, great opinions, I always ensure that everybody, all the team members contribute one way or the other. So that's one way to get everybody to be involved and to contribute in every meeting and every task. Okay,
Yeah.
so another thing also is to
Okay.
always give room for post meeting suggestions. You know, ideas come not even after we've had a meeting. You might be doing something and realize that, oh, if we do this, this will not work, or something can be happen. Taiwo has emphasized on relationship a lot. So this is another place where the relationship will come in, be very approachable, you know. In situations like that, they should be able to approach you, come to you and let you know that, oh, although this is how we plan to go by this, but this might happen, you know. Be open to suggestions even after you've drawn conclusions and you've wrapped up the meeting. That's a second way we can go about it. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. I think one that post meeting suggestion is something that I'm going to take and start practicing, because I know that after meetings there's things that you're like, oh, I should have said this during the meeting. So I think if it's something that you encourage within your team, it's also enable people, but it can also cause friction. Maybe we'll ask that in our next question. People going back and forth. But yeah, I think it's something that we can start to employ on our different teams. And my question is to Chisom. So what's the best way to celebrate small wins to reinforce collaboration momentum within the team? So, to encourage that, okay, you're doing well. This is how we celebrate you. So what's the best way to celebrate small wins such that we're not breaking the bank, right?
Okay, breaking the bank. I mean, nobody's going to send you money for doing your work well. They're already paying you. So um it's like, I think it's very important to recognize people for doing, doing their work well. Let me just put it like that. So if there's a set deadline and somebody set their deadline that, okay, I'm going to get this done in a week, right? And then they do it in 5 days. I think it's important to say something maybe on the Slack channel, or even WhatsApp group, wherever. We just tag the person and be like, oh, I see that you're done with your tasks. That was great. Thank you for doing that and all. I feel like doing this publicly, for the whole team to see, it will actually encourage the rest. It can encourage the rest to, do better and also be recognized, because they want to be recognized as well. So yeah, I think that works.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think, yeah, I agree with you on that front.
Right.
So my next question goes to Taiwo. So I mean, on the team, right? While we're trying to ensure that there's accountability, there is this space where people now there's a blame culture, right? Where people now start apportion blame because they don't want to be the one to take the fall. When in the place of taking accountability, you're ready to throw your teammate under the bus, right? So what practices do you ensure to use such that accountability is not mistaken for the blame culture within the work environment?
I think this is a common practice, right? And the reason why sometimes it looks that way is a lot of the time we don't make room for the fact that mistakes can happen, right? Um, and it still goes down to team dynamics, work culture, right? I know for a certain in the team I work, like within my own team, there are times when I think sometime recently something happened, and
Okay.
then I just went to my project manager and I was like, oh, so and so person, I have messed up. This is what happened. And he was like, oh, really? And and it was like, oh, okay, so what do we do next? Let's find a way to quickly, get ahead of this before the customer comes for us. The reason why I was able or I could do that was because we work in a team where we don't have to necessarily throw blames. We understand that people can make mistakes, right? So we expect you to own it, right? And speak out. And then, the next thing we're doing as a team is seeing how we can, quickly close out or resolve that issue, right? When this issue happened, I could have just, said, oh, no, it's something that I could have found a way around, right? But because of the kind of team I work in, it is very, so first off, we run a transparent team, right?
Mhm.
It is very clear what everybody is doing. So even if I try to bury it, it will still come out at some point that you actually dropped the ball, right? But then before it even gets to everyone to identify that I dropped the ball, I've gone to say, oh, I actually dropped the ball. How do we move on from here? How do we improve from here? I think the reason why a lot of people hide behind, or try to, apportion blames or point fingers is probably because of the work culture or the team dynamics, right? There is no room for errors, right? People there's so it's like I said, there's clear description of what you need to do, right? Your roles are clearly defined. So when you know that this is what you need to do and you drop the ball there, the next thing for you to do is just own up and say, oh, I have actually made a mistake here. I think it was yesterday, I was on a call with my engineer and my program manager, and we identified something. I was like, oh, this person, you actually didn't do this, right? And now
Yeah.
the customer has pointed. And because of the way and the dynamics of our work, and you're like, oh yes, I'm sorry, I skipped my mind. This is something I'll probably take a look at. I would, because typically his work schedule is outside of our time zone, right? So he's in India. And I was like, you know what? Because this is on me, I would try to fix this within or after work hours for him, right? And get it out. This actually shows, ownership, accountability, and you know, and this is all because of the fact that our roles are clearly defined. We have a culture of having to own and speak up where there are issues. I think that is very important in product teams. And the reason why sometimes there are friction is because some of these issues exist where maybe designer and the engineers are not, there's no clear specification to say, oh, for example, the front-end engineer is saying, I need a screen. I wouldn't develop this if the designer didn't put that screen here, right? And the designer is like, oh, you as a front-end person, you should know, or you should use your head to put that in there. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So this is where it all begins. But if the rules are clearly stated to say, oh, before we even start anything, designs need to be completed. We need to have validated that this is actually what we need. Acceptance criteria is clear. Everybody's clear on what they need to do. Then we probably wouldn't even be where we are. But I mean, if we are there already, the next thing is, what do we do? How do we get on from here? Because there is no need crying over spilled milk. The next thing is, how do we move? And a lot of times when we don't look for the next thing to do and we are trying to point fingers, and more damage gets done. The
Yeah.
time you're supposed to use to probably quickly fix or plug that hole, you're already using it to have squabbles, debates, argue with some other person. That time could have been put into quickly fixing or resolving that issue. In my own case, I quickly find out this is what needs to be done, and in 2 days we quickly fixed it, and it looked as if nothing really happened, right? So
Yeah.
that's essentially it.
Thank you so much, Taiwo. I think your answer just really emphasizes that as team members, even as we're working in our teams, we should learn to take ownership. We should be accountable for things that we do and be able to know, okay, this is when I've dropped the ball, take accountability and just learn to work to fix this, even if it means, putting the extra effort or going the extra mile. So thank you so much, Taiwo, for your response. My question is back to Deborah. Deborah, you mentioned, being able to accept post-meeting feedback and all of that. So I believe by the time when this becomes a norm, right, on the team that, okay, after the meeting, I can still go and tell the manager this, it might start causing disruptions, right? So how do you handle last minute changes that might affect the team's flow?
Okay. So, um, I think it's how we one address each suggestions coming. It's very easy to filter the good and will I say not so good ones, ideas coming from the team members. Okay, so give me a second.
Oh, no
Because like
problem.
you
No
mentioned, it can
yeah.
actually cause a lot of what's it called,
Disruption.
additions,
Yes.
unnecessary additions that will lead to disruptions. Yes.
Okay. Thank you so
So
much.
communication is very important in this scenario. Yes.
Yeah.
So we have to ensure that we don't make it a continuous thing to keep dropping suggestions. It has to be stated out that okay, I understand the need or this that there might be a need to bring up ideas and suggestions, but please can we ensure that any suggestions that are coming will not disrupt um
The workflow.
or or defend us from the main goal. So the moment a lot of ideas to be drawn that we're trying not to drive away from the goal, what we're trying to achieve. So no idea should bring us away from the goal. Yes,
No, I'm trying to
no
achieve.
idea should bring us away from
From
the
what we're
goal.
trying to, yeah, as a team. Thank you so much. I think another thing would be
Yeah.
setting realistic.
So that's
Is it just me? Network is breaking. Is it? Am I the only one?
No. I think her network is
Oh,
bad.
okay. No problem. Thank you
very
so much,
important.
Deborah. What I wanted to add to what she said is that being able to set realistic timelines. So
Are you
say
there?
we're
Can you
even
hear me?
having, yeah, we can. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Deborah. So, okay, I think I'll just ask Chisom this question. So, how do you set realistic timelines when every task has different estimates or efforts for it to be completed? So, when you're working with your team, how do you ensure that while trying to ensure that it's great team collaboration, how do you set realistic timelines that can fit in the overall or the common goal of the team?
Okay, so when you're leading a team, so when I was lead designer at Worksteady, I had two interns, right,
Okay.
under me, and when we have meetings with the rest of the team, they don't ask individually, they will always ask the team lead, like, okay, so what time, how long do you think you guys can get this done and everything, right? So what I do is I ask them, when do you think you can get this done? And when they tell me, I add some days on top of it just for unknowns, right?
Yeah,
Just in
contingencies.
case anything, exactly, for contingencies and all of that. Because I mean, you don't know what might happen, and again, they might do it, and maybe it's not up to my standard, or I have some corrections to make just for that. So yeah, that's how
That's how it.
that,
I think
yeah.
that's great, being able to foresee that, okay, this might come up and, being able to add extra time and, just account for all of that in your planning or in the roadmap. And then overall,
Yes,
you're able to deliver the product at the right time. So I
yes,
think, yeah,
because I
that's something.
mean, rushing, I'll be not giving enough time. Like, it always, like, at the end of the day, you are going to pay for it if you
Yeah,
try to.
definitely.
Yeah. So
Very, very important. Thank you so much, Chisom. So I think I'll just ask Deborah. I would have liked to ask Taiwo, but I'll just asking the other question because he has spoken a lot about, company culture. I want to ask that what role does company culture play in achieving cross-functional harmony on the team, right? Hi, Deborah.
Oh, So
I think she's
does
struggling with a
play
network.
a very large
Okay,
role.
yes.
Hi, can you hear me? Oh, okay. So I said that the culture, the work culture plays an important role
Mm.
um in yes, in the departments, in the team. Um I'm sorry, please can you run over your question again? You said what role?
Does the company culture play in cross-functional harmony? So, Peter has been, Taiwan was mentioning how, okay, on his team, they are able to take accountability, take ownership, and how
Okay,
it's a
okay.
place for you to hear. So, I just want to know that, okay, I would have liked to ask you, but it seems like they have great work culture. So, there are companies with not so great work culture. So, I just want you to describe how this culture, so these different work cultures or company culture can affect cross harmony, cross-functional harmony within the team.
Okay, for example, I've worked with a company that do not really what's it called, give recognition to great efforts and what's it called, meeting timelines
Commending you.
and
Okay.
deadlines for, yes. So that was like a norm. It's like bad feedbacks. They're looking to bring in bad feedback. So what
Mhm.
that did to the team then was that they became very discouraged. So it was a double tax trying to encourage a team when the system around us, it was not very encouraging. So as PMs also, we need to also strike a balance in saying that when the environment is not really very encouraging to thriving, we have to also create a positive environment for ourselves.
Yeah.
We have to, most times we interface with the stakeholders, most times they don't. So we have a larger view of perception of everything going on in the company better than this. So it's our role not to transfer that energy down to the team members, ensuring that we filter off a lot of negative emotions so they don't get discouraged, so they don't lose interest in the work to be done. So yes, the work culture actually plays a very, very large role. And also the understanding of how to not be emotional about things, in the sense that when some decisions are made from the upper boards, we
Mhm.
we as product managers we need to learn how to not be emotional and transferring those emotions to the team members, because that would reflect across board, that will reflect on our work, that will reflect on our deliverables and all of that. So it's very important to have strong filter board for in situations where we don't have a very encouraging work culture.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think personally, I believe work culture is very important. I think it's one aspect of even people that are seeking jobs or seeking employment. You need to ensure that the wherever you're going to work, the environment supports your growth. It is somewhere that I think we have someone hand. Okay, Chisom wants to add to that. So Chisom, you speak after. So yeah, the environment supports your growth and you are able to, collaborate effectively. Any environment that doesn't support your growth will definitely not, you probably won't be at your best even to perform. So Chisom, you wanted to add to what Deborah said.
Yeah, I wanted to just add that, like, this whole keeping harmony, team spirit and all of that, especially for remote work, right? I think
Yeah.
it's not as easy as
Yeah,
going to
physical.
the office and physical work. Yeah. So I have a friend that in her company they do this um bi week bi-weekly meetings where they just come. The name of the meeting is Head Heart Health, right? And everybody everybody in the company says something, like what is going on in their head, what's going on in their hearts, or how they're feeling like emotionally and all of that, and also how your health is, like, health wise. And she was telling me the other day that she has never seen that type of thing before, and she has never, worked in anywhere where they do that. And that at first she didn't like it, but moving on, like with time, as
Over
time,
time.
thought that, it helped her know people, her colleagues and all of that, because she can just see the person and be like, oh, this is the guy that said last month that, so happened to him or his babe or whatever. So yeah, I think that's just what I wanted to add anyways, the whole remote working, because right now a lot of companies are remote, a lot of companies are going remote. So yeah, that's, fostering harmony in remote work. So yeah, that's just what I wanted to add to what Deborah said.
Okay, thank you for that. Funny, I was going to ask you a similar question. So I think I'll just ask you this question. So what habits do you think teams can build from the onset that can set the foundation for long-term harmony? So I mean, I've worked every Friday. We always have, meetings just to, talk about what we did during the week. There is spotlights a fellow colleague and all of that. So I believe and we play games too. So I believe there are many habits, right? So, but what habits you've mentioned the one that your friend just said from our office, but if you could just share some other habits that you think, okay, if or maybe from places you worked or you think people can employ that would set the foundation for long-term harmony on the team.
Yeah, okay. So like I said earlier, there was a question you asked that had to do with celebrating wins, right?
Yeah.
That also works. It's celebrating
I
wins
agree.
together, coming up with rituals that you can do, like the meeting that you said on that you do at your workplace on Fridays and stuff, having something like that. And I think it also helps colleagues have something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Yeah, having those kind of things. So it's just coming together and thinking about, what can we do? It's just anything. You can hang out together maybe once a month or once in 3 months, whatever. Just
Yeah, I think that's why a lot of companies are having these team bonding
yeah,
sessions and all of that too.
yeah, exactly. Because it's really important. It's actually
Yeah.
very important in the
Okay.
workplace.
Thank you so much, Chisom. So everyone, please, you can start dropping your questions in the chat box. So we'll pick it up. We'll be rounding off soon. I'm just going to ask our speakers a couple more questions and then we'll take the questions and then we can bring the meeting to a close. So please start dropping your questions. You can also raise your hands if you'd like to speak. So I'll be moving on to ask Taiwo a question and then the other speakers too. So please start dropping your questions. So Taiwo, my question is to you because based on your work experience so far, I know you'd have worked with several teams that under high pressure. So I just want to ask you that how do you maintain cross-functional harmony and trust when working under high pressure, when everybody's under high pressure? How do you ensure that, okay, everybody is still giving their best and there's still cross-functional harmony?
That's a very, very hard one. I won't lie to you. You start seeing people's true colors when they are under pressure. Someone you think has your back can throw you under the bus, right?
Yeah.
Crazy things happen, right? But one way or one of the ways I try to handle that in our team is light banters, right? We try to make fun out of the situations we are in. I recall some months back, there was this client that was, I'm going to escalate you to your MD, da 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 da. And we needed to do something, like we needed to drop something. So after the call with the client, everyone was pissed, like, oh, this person was just talking to us anyhow, this. But we know we had to do the work, right? So we all got on the war room call. And the first thing someone did was to make a light joke about what has happened. And we all laughed, right? And from there, we all started, talking and all. And one thing I found out is the reason why we're even able to do that is because as a team, right, we've achieved some sort of bond, right? We've worked together. So even this team, it's not like we've worked for years. This is a team that most people on the team have just probably worked for like 3-4 months. But everybody in the team they are all unique in their own ways. But we were able to make light of that situation, right? We're still under pressure to deliver, right? But we just saw it as, oh, this is like another day, right? I think another thing that helps is the kind of people you have in teams. A lot of people can handle pressure, right? Some people can. There's tolerance level for different people. I remember when I was probably still starting, and there was pressure to deliver a certain items. You would see me, shivering, running around. Oh, this, that. But then as you grow into it, you find out that things that you can't control or you have no control of. Why fret? Why stress about it? The next thing you should be looking at is, what is the next thing? How do we get this thing out, right? We're under pressure to deliver an item that we know is impossible in 1 week, but we want to do it in 1 week. How do we do it, right? Do we need to rub some people's back, beg some engineers? Do we need to buy pizza for some people? All of that. And again, this is where relationship and having a very diverse cross-functional team works, right? Because in your functional team or in your team, in your delivery team, you have people that are laid back, you have people that are very active, you have people that are just there, right? But you need to bring everybody on board, right? You need to find a way to get the best out of everyone so that we can deliver. I know that there was something we needed to churn out in like a week, right? And we knew that we had to, stay on calls till 9-10 p.m. at night. Nobody wanted to do that, right? But because we know we are in this situation, right, and we are all in this together, sort of, because we have that mantra in our place of work, we know that we had to all put in that effort, right? And even when someone is slacking, you would see another person stepping in and owning the other person's role because that person is unavailable. But one of those days I slept off, right? I couldn't, stay on the call till 10 p.m. And then next day I was like, oh guys, sorry, what happened? And they were like, oh, this, and this happened. This was what we were able to do. Nobody was pointing fingers to say, oh, you were not on the call with us, something like that. People have this understanding that, oh yes, we're under pressure, right? We need to manage our emotions, and way to manage our emotions is first make light banter of whatever we have found out, or the situation we'll find ourselves. What's the next thing? How do we get this together as a team? So essentially, right, if you're looking at this, right, is to first, take it easy, make light situation. So like, there's someone in my team, our program manager would say, if we can't do it, we can't do it, right? We will just try. And honestly, that works, right? Because I've seen people, trying to kill themselves for some things, right? And in the end, they don't get to deliver that stuff, and everybody is disappointed. So we go in with the mindset that it's possible to achieve it, right? What we are going, or the mindset we are going into this with is, let's see how much or how far we can go with this. If we're able to achieve it, fine. If we're not able to, we'll take learnings from there and see how we can do better next time. That's just it.
Thank you so much for that. I think that just speaks to that work culture, because I feel like your work environment supports all of this, being able to work seamlessly, your teammates being able to pick up the ball when someone is not, at their best. So like I would say, always work in a place with great work culture. So thank you so much, Taiwo. So my question is for Chisom. I see that from your bio, you mentor people, you work with, try to mentor young people to ensure that they have great careers. So I want to ask you that, how do you coach junior team members to handle cross-functional conflicts professionally? So let's say junior team members are having conflicts. How do you handle that? Or how do you even coach them to ensure they handle this type of issues?
Okay, so are the issues between themselves or work related?
Yeah, it could be with themselves. So maybe personal, although I doubt people have so many personal issues, but yeah, so it could be within themselves or maybe as regards the work. 'Cause just basically conflict resolution tactics that or strategies that you share or you implement. Yeah, they could be personal, it could be the one you mentor people about. Just share with us.
Okay, so it's I think it's important to teach them that there's no point pointing fingers. Like if something goes wrong, because most times in the workplace, why there are conflicts is because like something has gone wrong. Maybe somebody has messed up, and then it's affecting other people, and then you see them arguing and all of that. So I think the best thing or the best way to teach them is that we're all working towards the same goal, and that is like building a product that works, right? So is to focus on that. So if something goes wrong, if you end up having see that you're having conflict or trying to fight or whatever, you should just pause and you know like how to solve the problem that has already happened,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yeah, that's what I do. I just tell them, okay, you have to, now that everything has spoiled, like it has scattered, you have to think of how are we going to work together to solve the problem that has already happened. So yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
do.
I think it's always great when if like just like Peter said and Deborah also mentioned. So when things don't go right, the point is not to start throwing blames or
Yeah,
all of
there's
that
no
blame. You should just
identity
look for
out
how to
there.
forge ahead. Yeah. Thank you so much, Chisom. So before
Mhm.
I ask for any last words, I have one question. So it's the same question for all our speakers. So you just answered across board, and then we answer the questions from our audience, and then we hear your last or final words before we bring the meeting to a close. So the question is, if you could give one piece of advice to a product manager struggling with cross-functional conflicts or being able to handle a team effectively, what would it be? So I think I'll start from Deborah, then we go to Chisom, and then we go to Taiwo. So the question is that if you're to advise, oh, Deborah just left. Okay, probably a network. So Chisom, let's just start from you then. So if you could give an advice to a product manager that is struggling with cross-functional harmony or not being able to handle their team properly or having a lot of conflicts or misalignments on their team, what's the advice you would give to such a product manager or such a person?
So an advice I'll give, I think Deborah mentioned it before, like you always have to put your job first, you have to put products first. So like I'm sorry, I give me a minute. You
No
always
problem.
have to you always have to put your job first, you have to put the products first, right?
Mhm.
So sorry.
Sorry, I think let's let Chisholm probably get some water. So let's just move on to Taiwo, then we'll probably go back to Chisholm. Um so Taiwo, the question is if you could advise a product manager struggling with cross-functional conflicts or not being able to handle their team properly or there is misalignment on the team, what advice would you give to the person or the product manager?
I mean, I think I said something earlier.
Okay.
Chisom, do you want to go on?
No, you can't. I didn't know you were already starting to talk. But you can continue.
Yeah, the
So
reason
just
why
notice.
conflicts arise is sometimes we take our eyes away from the ball, right?
Mhm.
The thing is, why are we here? Why are we all here, right? Why is everybody working together? Essential thing is we're all working to do something, right? We want to solve a problem for the customer, right? And a lot of time, the reason why we are in chaos or there's friction and all the likes is we're looking at the solution already. We're not looking at what the problem is and trying to solve that problem,
Mhm.
right? Um, a former Google PM mentioned something around, falling in love with the problem and not the
Yeah.
solution, right?
Mhm.
So you don't go into a war of egos and I know more than you, you know more than me, and all the likes, right? The reason why, there are always conflicts or people are having issues and all the likes is because of everyone wants to have the final say. Engineering wants to, make their stamp known that, I am, Alpha and Omega. Design wants to also show their flex. Compliance wants to, make sure you understand or know that, this is if you dealt with compliance, you know the way they are, you know.
Yeah.
Well, we all sometimes take our eyes off the ball, the fact that we are trying to solve a problem that exists in the market today. So, my advice to a PM that is struggling with this is, as much as possible, always bring the focus, right, or whatever conversation you're having with your cross-functional team back to the problem you're solving for the customer. That is the reason why you are all working together. Don't fight for your function, right? The major reason why we are all working together today, right, is because we want to solve a problem that exists in the market. We need to have that understanding. Everybody needs to get that at the back of their head, right? And not that, I am an individual person contributing to this. We are all working together to achieve that or to solve that problem. Again, this cross-functional problem is not, a thing of in our market, and it is, seen everywhere. And the reason why you would see, the likes of Meta, Netflix, and all the like showing out great product is because they act the cross functionality amongst, the various departments or, units they have, right? If you go to a Netflix, you would see that they have a creative department, they have an engineering department, and they are all working together. Like, there is no engineering team is separate, creative team is separate or something. They work together as a team, right? So you can see maybe on the login side of Netflix, right? You have a mix of an engineer, a product person, and all the like. And this team, they are working cross-functionally to improve the experience, right, of that particular feature. As a team, they are not looking at individuals like, oh, this is a product person or something. What they are looking at is, what problem are we solving for our customer? So essentially, that is what we need to, as a junior PM or as a PM that is struggling with this, you need to ensure that all of the stakeholders or, people in your cross-functional team have the understanding that it is not about them or it's not about the company. It is about what we are doing or the impact we are making by solving problems that exist today. That's just it.
Thank you so much, Peter. I feel like your answer can also be said that we need to get the root cause of issues, right? Asking why severally to get the real issue that we're trying to solve and just ensuring that we fall in love with the problem. And that's what we are very much focused on. So thank you so much, Taiwo. Is Chisom back? Chisom and Deborah. Okay.
Yeah, so just to add to what Taiwo said, right? So a struggling PM, I feel like it's important to know your teammates or team members, their strengths, what each person is good at or what they can do and everything, and try to build their tasks around that, right? So or give them tasks that are related to their strong points and all of that, because if somebody is doing what they can actually do, there will be no reason for there to be conflict, right, with the job or with your fellow teammates. Yeah, that's what I have to add. So
Thank you so much. Yes, it's important because different team members have different strengths, so it's very important to understand that and just channel that back to the team and to be able to get the best output. So I agree with you. Thank you so much, Chisom, for your response. Miss Deborah, would you like to answer that question before we start answering questions from our audience? So please, if you'd like to ask a question, just raise up your hand and then would start asking after Deborah answers.
Okay. In addition to what everyone has said,
Okay.
for new PMs, I would advise that you embrace every experience as a learning phase.
Mhm.
It might be a little bit overwhelming, especially if you do not have a technical background. For me, I didn't have a technical background. I was coming from the
Mm.
healthcare sector, so it was a little bit overwhelming for me. But one thing I did that really helped me was my positive thinking towards everything. So I was very welcoming to every experience. I was very open to learning. You know, you would learn from the development team, you would learn from the design team, ask questions. You know, it might seem like you are a novice, but trust me, that
Mm.
humility will make you grow. A lot
Yeah.
of experience, a lot of things I knew was me showing that vulnerability to my team members. Oh, what is this? What is this? What do you mean by this? You know, it won't make you any smaller. You learn once, and you will grow. So,
Definitely.
and trust me, people respect people who want to learn. And before you know it, you discover that your growth is very, very fast. So embrace every experience as a learning
Absolutely.
phase. That's very important.
Thank you so much. I think that is very important to embrace every opportunity you get as a learning curve. See it as an opportunity to grow, and then you see yourself growing. Thank you so much, Deborah. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Taiwo. Thank you, Chisholm, for your responses. So, Oma has a question. Oma, please kindly unmute your mic so you can ask your question.
Okay, thank you, speakers. It's actually been a very enlightening session. So thank you, everyone. So I think my question goes to all of them. Taiwo, I really appreciate your work environment, honestly. So, but I want to ask this question to Deborah actually. So you spoke about the thin line between being firm and authoritative. So I just want to bring my story down. I am currently working with a startup where I started as an intern and grew to where I am at the moment. So I remember starting and I had to meet the engineers to say, hey, I almost don't know anything, oh, please, oh, do you get so? And I have grown to where I am now. Now, these engineers that I went to meet, I'm now coming back to ask them for their deliverables, and most times I do not get responses from them. Meanwhile, when I came in as an intern, I could always run to them most times and they would open up and answer me. But at the moment, they have deliverables and they're not responding. And you thought you had built a relationship with them, and right now they are the ones disappointing you. How do you handle that situation?
You
Thank you
switch.
so much.
You will switch. Okay, so let me make that sound very. As much as you have developed a relationship with them, it's still work at the end of the day. You know,
Yeah.
I've had a similar experience. In fact, I would refer to this person at work as a friend. But when it came to deliverable, he messed up intentionally because I think it's of human nature to want to overuse or overstress a relationship or abuse an opportunity. So in that
Mm.
situation, you have to be firm. How are you firm? Emails, copy, what's it called? Copy
Your
HR,
boss,
copy
HR,
your
okay?
boss. So he didn't see it coming because that is how it should be. That's why I said you have to be firm. So you don't have to scream at the person. You don't have to, shout. Just send them a mail. You expected to do this. You expected to do this, and this was not done at the time frame. Kindly explain why. With question mark. You're copying the people involved. You just see that they'll sit up. So that's a power that you can pull. That's a power you can use because you are in the situation to call that shot. And by copying those people who are in position to follow up and escalate things, yeah, you've caught the attention of your team members, the engineers. You find them sitting up. If they don't, what's it called? If they don't you can put it as a condition there. If I do not get a response to this, that means you are breaking this, and I would like the HR to, I would escalate this. This is like a corporate threat that gets things done. So that's what I have to say. That's what I would recommend you do.
Thank you so much, Deborah. Deborah means business. We're not here to play. Thank you so much, Deborah. I don't know if that answered your question or if you want any of our
Yes,
speakers.
it does. Yes, it
Mhm.
does. Thank
So you can
you.
copy. I expect emails to be flying from Monday. So thank you, Omar, for your question. Is there anyone that has any other question? So our speakers can give their last words or their final, just to round off. There will be no post-meeting questions, so please ask your questions now. Okay, so I think we have no question. Omar, thank you for your question. So we're just going to be having our last words from our speakers, and then we'll officially bring the meeting to a close. So let's start from Chisum, then we'll move to Deborah, then back to Taiwo. Just to round off, I think we're at the end. So before they say their last words, I'd like to say a very big thank you to everybody for sticking this long, for staying this long on this meeting. Thank you so much for making time out to be a part of this episode of Product Conversation. We really appreciate you and I'd like to see you at the next edition. And thank you our speakers for making time out, even if it was short notice. Thank you so much for making time out to be here. Yeah, so let's just have your last word before we bring the meeting to a close. Miss Chisom still here. Chisom, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. I don't really have much to say. I mean, this session was it was very good. I enjoyed myself and I learned a lot, especially in project management and all of that. So yeah, I think it was a good one. So thank you for having me, Wura.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much. Thank
Um,
you for coming to Ideation.
yeah.
So Deborah, do you have any last word for our audience based on the topic, or any last thing you think, or I didn't ask that didn't, any question that wasn't covered, or anything you'd like to share with us, just as a takeaway from this meeting?
Okay, I think I would like to say, I would like to share a tip I got from a gathering like this when I
Okay.
was a junior PM.
Okay.
Like,
Thank
as a junior PM, you want to be a generalist. What do I
you.
mean by that? You might not be so lucky with your first PM job. It might be in a very not so structured environment. It might not be in the best environment, but you want to be a generalist. Why? Because you need that experience to build a career on. If your goal is to be there for 6 months, to be there for 1 year, just be a generalist. Whatever the desire of the stakeholder, just be a generalist, because you actually need to build. You need to start from somewhere, and you don't want your time there to be filled with hardship, because you will just give yourself stress. To be so stressful if you're trying to redefine the stakeholders' goal, or if you're trying to state how things are meant to be, you will be stressed out. So learn, watch, build as much as you can. Before you know, the opportunity to bounce and move to the next phase will present itself.
Yeah,
Yes,
thank you so much, Deborah. So as people just starting our careers, Deborah is saying that we should learn to be generalists, learn to accept every opportunity as a learning curve, learn to try to see that you are growing at what you're doing and you know your onions. So thank you so much, Deborah. So we'll be moving on to Taiwo. Taiwo, please, what do you think? What last words do you have, or what parting words do you have to members of our audience, or anything I
Okay.
didn't ask?
I think we covered a lot. I just
Okay.
want to say cross-functional harmony amongst teams is essential, right? Some of the great products or great things you see people do comes from, a very good place of collaboration between
Yeah.
people. There would be conflicts, no doubt. People would, frustrate you. People would have issues, and all of that. But the essential thing is to channel that, right, into doing great work. The reason why a designer will come and challenge you is because they have an attachment to that product. An engineer has an attachment to doing something great, right? That is why people want to feel heard. They want to, or sometimes it looks like there's friction within the team, and that's fine, right? It would happen. Even in the best of teams, there would be
Yeah.
friction. The essential thing is how do we move on from there, right? And that is to tell each and every one of us that we need to embrace conflict sometimes and see how we can, channel that conflict into doing great things. I've heard of teams where it is through disagreement they were able to come up with an idea that led to a groundbreaking product, right? So, and the reason why that disagreement happened was because it was a cross-functional team. They're all working together, but then, everybody or different people had their own ideas of what they feel is great or should be done. And that led to, the friction or something. In between, they channeled that conflict into doing great thing. And next thing you know, you're having a product that is a statement out there. So my bit is just to say, the PM role is to turn that energy into alignment, bring everyone back to the table and, validate the reason why you all are there, which is to find a solution to customers' problem, right? And through that, you just find out that the team will bond well, and a team that is well or is collaborating effectively, right, will do great things and move mountains. That's just it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Taiwo. Thank you so much. I couldn't agree more. So from Chisom, we learned that the importance of communication, using different tools, your Slack channels, your WhatsApp groups to ensure that the team, they're collaborating well. Deborah mentioned post meeting feedback, having roadmaps, importance of communication, being firm, right? Not trying to be liked. I mean, you still have to have great relationship, but being firm and being encouraging people to speak during meetings. I think Taiwo emphasized on the importance of data, having data to back up whatever decision you are trying to make. You also emphasize the importance of having quality relationship or great relationship with your colleagues to ensure that you're able to work well with your team. And our influence also comes from a place of clarity, taking ownership, taking accountability, and being great at what you do and having clarity, and also the importance of great work environments, which I think I learned so much from the session. Thank you so much, our speakers. Thank you, Taiwo. Thank you, Chisom. Thank you, Deborah. We really appreciate your time. Thank you, our audience. Thank you so much for making time out to be here. My name is Wura Olaologoro, the host for this edition of Product Conversation. Till we see you next month. So if you're interested in joining the Ideation community, reach out to myself, or you can also connect with the speakers. Yes, please, before I forget, please connect with our speakers on LinkedIn. Taiwo is at Omotalani Taiwo, that's if I'm not mistaken. Chisom, I think is her full name. Yeah, Deborah too is Deborah Kintola, Chisom Igwanugo, right? So please connect with our speakers on LinkedIn. If you have any questions, we can continue on the Ideation community. If you would like to join the community, please reach out to myself or the community manager, right, Omar, and would like to have you join us. So thank you, everyone. It was a great session. See you next month. Bye bye. Have a good night and enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Good night. Thank you.